All right, welcome to the stream. This is going to be the last stream for a while because I am heading to Washington, D.C. for some very interesting meetings a little bit later this week, and I probably just won't have time to stream again. So this is it, at least for a few days. I'm going to give a second for people to get connected. Want to talk about the latest, very, very strange pronouncements about complicated airlines from the President of the United States. People are very interested in seeing the video. So, our podcast from today's show went live, but the clip of producer Noah Ferguson confronting Shirley Phelps Roper from the Westboro Baptist Church at a protest hasn't gone live on YouTube. So a lot of people have heard the audio, haven't seen the video. I will play the video for you because I have it here and available. So we will do that. And I predict a good turnout today. I big news is I'm doing the live stream today for the first time with my new contact lenses. I just got my eyesight got even worse, and I have new contact lenses and I can see so much better. I can see everything that's going on. I will better be able to see if people are trolling the live chat and all of that stuff. So it's very, very exciting, and glad you're here on a special day on which I can now see again after 2 years of deteriorating eyesight. This is a live stream. So if this is your first one, unlike the video clips that we upload, this is live. And you can talk to me. You can send in questions or comments, which I will answer or respond to by using the super chat function. That's the $ below the chat. $. The messages will go up on screen. I will read your question or comment and then answer it. People get very excited sometimes with. Some people pay to troll me with super chat, but for the most part, it's good questions and comments. Sign up for membership. I am willing to take live calls, as I often do. I usually say if we get 10 new members on our website, I'll open up the phone lines at 617-830-4750. And then people can talk to me, and I will actually take live phone calls. How to sign up for membership, www.joinpacman.com. Coupon codes are available. Check the video description. I'll talk about them a little bit more later. Please don't troll the live chat. We do have moderators observing what's going on there, and we are running not a tight ship, but a moderately tight ship. Obvious trolling will get you banned. Subtle trolling probably won't because we won't notice. And then lastly, we are participating in a YouTube beta program called YouTube channel membership, which displays the join button right below the video window. You can do that, and we will count those towards the goal of 10 new members on the opening up the phone lines question. So both website memberships as well as YouTube channel memberships all count, and I look forward to hearing from people once we get the phone lines opened. So let's get right to it. I interviewed today Dr. John Gartner. Dr. John Gartner has been on the program before. This interview is already up on the YouTube channel. I encourage you to check it out after the stream. Dr. John Gartner is a psychiatrist. He's been teaching for nearly 30 years at Johns Hopkins Medical Center, medical school. And his argument is that it is very clearly observable based on publicly available audiovisual evidence that Donald Trump is suffering from some combination of cognitive decline, pre-dementia, mental illness, and he believes that it is the question of dyslexia. We actually discussed the question of could this just be dyslexia, what we are observing from Donald Trump? And Dr. John Gartner said absolutely not. Okay, so check out the interview with him. And very interestingly, every time, see if we can actually pull up some of the comments. We always address this issue of whether it's okay to not diagnose, but at least consider, hypothesize about someone's condition on the basis of a television or radio without having personally examined them. And this dates back to the Goldwater rule, and we actually discussed that with John Gartner, and he says that was for a very specific reason, to avoid irresponsible diagnoses without actually sitting with someone, but that it's perfectly reasonable for mental health professionals to observe someone's public behavior. And no matter what, I always see comments about that. Let's see if there are any so far. Most people seem to agree with this. Actually surprising. For now, not many people are saying that it's irresponsible for Dr. John Gartner to say this. It seems that comments like this are more common. Thank you for stating the obvious. That's why Trump's perfect for the Republican Party. Trump is all of the above. Everyone should remind him he deserves it. He's someone with an Ivy League education, although Cohen's testimony suggests it might have been from privilege rather than merit. Okay, so interestingly, we're not getting a lot of those comments today. Last time we had John Gartner on, we did get a lot of those comments. So check that out. So the context is that if you look at Trump's videos from the 80s and 90s, his behavior and his vocabulary, his demeanor is just drastically different. And this particular psychiatrist attributes it to cognitive decline, pre-dementia, mental illness. Just after we did this interview today, Donald Trump attacking modern airplane technology in a very strange series of tweets. This is, of course, related to this horrible, horrible crash of a Boeing 737 MAX operated by Ethiopian Airlines over the weekend, the second 737 MAX crash that took place shortly after takeoff in the last 5 or 6 months. Most countries have grounded 737 MAXs and don't allow them in their airspace. The US has not yet done that, but it may well be coming. Donald Trump tweeting, "Airplanes are becoming far too complex to fly. Pilots are no longer needed, but rather computer scientists from MIT. I see it all the time in many products, always seeking to go one unnecessary step further, when often old and simpler is far better. Split-second decisions are needed, and the complexity creates danger. All of this for great cost, yet very little gain. I don't know about you, but I don't want Albert Einstein to be my pilot. I want great flying professionals that are allowed to easily and quickly take control of a plane." This is obviously it's wrong. Okay. Obviously, if you just Google flight safety data, safety per passenger mile flown, or whatever metric you want to look at, modern commercial aviation is safer than ever, ever. Okay. Today, right now, it's safer than ever. So Donald Trump is wrong, but it's also irresponsible. It's irresponsible because of how it's going to affect American businesses potentially. It's irresponsible because of the reality that a lot of people have significant anxiety around flying, and that seeing something like this from the president is undoubtedly going to make a lot of those people even more anxious. And it's irresponsible because we want the president setting the tone and setting the agenda in a way that actually correlates, is proportional to the problems that we're dealing with. So along those lines, commercial aviation is extraordinarily safe. We don't need the president saying things like this. On the other hand, the climate change issue is a fiasco. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. And Donald Trump is now insisting that it's just all fake, right? And it's going beyond his idea that China concocted global warming or climate change as a pretext to bolster their manufacturing industry. That was years ago. He is again just insisting that the data is all fake, everything's fake. He should be talking about climate change as a real and present danger. He should not be talking about commercial aviation. There's something going on with the Boeing 737 MAX. Clearly, Boeing has an has urgency to deal with it. Trump doesn't need to get involved. We have the FAA, we have the NTSB, we have all sorts of authorities and smart people who are going to do everything they can to figure out what is wrong with the 737 MAX as soon as possible. Irresponsible, completely and totally counterproductive. I want to follow up on this tomorrow. We will actually probably delve into some of the specifics of what is hypothesized to be going on with the 737 MAX tomorrow. And I look forward to doing that with you, but I don't know that it's necessary to say too much more today about it. Let me deal with a couple of super chats that have come in, and then I want to get to the Westboro Baptist Church thing that we've been talking about. Let's see here. I think the first one was JC Pocket, who sent $1 super chat starting us off with no question or comment, but I still appreciate it, JC. Dana Cooley Keith sent $1.99 super chat, also with no question or comment. Very much appreciated. Trevor Peterson says with a $4.20 super chat, "Are you coming to Milwaukee for the DNC? We have great beer." I don't know yet. I would love to go. I would love to go. You know, the thing about the DNC and the RNC is that there's no reason you would know this unless you've dealt with it, but the logistics are just hell for broadcasting from places like the DNC and the RNC. The security situation makes it such that you need to allot some ludicrous amount of time even to get into the facility. There are often all sorts of different gatekeepers put in place to get you the resources that you need in terms of internet connections, and even just like a table and a power strip or whatever could bring the power strip, of course. But the logistics barriers that are put in place are often complex. And what we often end up deciding is that we can do better content by having two or three people who will be at the DNC call in or Skype into the show each day rather than me going. Although I would be interested in going. I've never, have I been to Milwaukee? No, I've never been to Milwaukee. I've been to the outskirts of Milwaukee, but never Milwaukee itself. I would love to go, but it's more of a question of whether we can do the best possible show there. And sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can't. And that's ultimately what is going to determine what we do. The reason why with a $10 super chat says, good luck on your trip, Dave. Yeah, it's hopefully I don't need luck, but it's going to be interesting. Some very interesting stuff going on in DC later this week that I'll be doing, and I should be able to fill you in on it probably next week, unless things are embargoed, as they say. Thomas Scott Morey sends a $5 super chat. Do you agree with Pelosi that impeachment of Trump would likely be counterproductive? Here's my view on the impeachment issue. Uh, Productive and counterproductive would not be the terminology that I apply to it. If there's evidence that Donald Trump has engaged in behavior worthy of impeachment on the basis of the law and the Constitution and how impeachment guidelines are outlined, then the right process is for the House of Representatives to file impeachment proceedings and start them. It will then be up to a Republican-controlled Senate, at least up until January of 2021, to decide on the removal of President Trump. And I think it's very unlikely that they would vote to remove him. So for me, the question is not, is it productive or unproductive to consider impeaching the president? If it's the right thing, the process should be started. It's more the pragmatic reality that we're only 20 months, under 20 months out. We are like 19 and a half months out from the 2020 election. And I believe that at this point in time, if impeachment proceedings were to start today, and maybe even if 25th Amendment removal procedures were to start today, although that's less clear, they're less likely, but maybe faster. I still believe the most direct path to removing Donald Trump is just voting him out in November of 2020. You don't have to get beyond partisan Senate. You don't have to do anything that we don't do every 4 years. You could just go out and vote, and we can make the decision to remove him in 19 and a half months. And then he would actually be removed in 21 and a half months, I believe it is. So I disagree with Nancy Pelosi about how she's making the calculation. I don't think productive versus unproductive is the way to consider it. If impeachment is appropriate, impeachment should be done with no regard to the sort of productivity of it, whatever that means. Pragmatically speaking, we can vote him out in 19 and a half months, and that's sort of the way that I would suggest we go about it. Okay, let me say hello to a couple of people who have become members. As I mentioned at the top of the stream, we do have a phone line, 617-830-4750. If you call that line now, it will go to voicemail. Why? Because I've not opened the phone lines. Why? Because I will open the phone lines if and when we get 10 new paid subscribers to the show during the stream. That's just 1.5% of the people that are watching right now. Okay, so it should be doable. You can go to www.joinpacman.com. There are 2 coupon codes available right now. The first coupon code is This is 2020. This is 2020. Any membership will be discounted by 40% if you apply the code This is 2020. $3.60 a month would be your net price for the $6 a month membership. If, however, you really want to get a yearly membership and lock in a it's an embarrassingly low price, quite frankly. The coupon code SAVE35, SAVE35, can be applied only to the $60 a year membership, and that'll drop the membership to $25 for the entire year. That's barely $2 a month, just over $2 a month. It supports all the work we do. It supports the live streams and the broadcast show, and the podcast and the YouTube channel and everything. If we get 10 new signups, I'll open the phones, and we have our first, and it's Laura Godinho. Laura Godinho has signed up for a beautifully discounted membership at www.joinpacman.com. That's 10% of the way there, okay? If we get a total of 10, I will open up the phone lines. And as you may know, when the phone lines open, they are not screened. So if you want to confront me, if you want to troll me, if you just have a political question or want to tell me I'm doing a great job, it will all be available if and when the phone lines open. Real Life Jolie, or Jolly, sends an $11 super chat. Did you not have any money to see an optometrist for years at a time? No, my understanding is that you only need an eye exam every 2 years. So that's why I didn't go for 2 years. Goes on to say, because if that's the case, well, I do think that I should buy you a box of contacts at least. Oh, no, I have no shortage of contacts. What I meant was my prescription changed. I have a new prescription. I went from 2.5 to 3 nearsightedness. And I can just see everything much better. And it's not, I have plenty of contacts. We just made the change. My optometrist and he flipped my eyelids over, which was vile. And he, what else did he do? Took my eye pressure and slapped me in the face and then gave me some new contacts, and off I went. So I've got plenty of contacts. I deliberately, my plan is every 2 years I go. So everything's fine. I appreciate the concern though. Sean Geis says, did you hear about the Saudi students in Oregon helped out of the country by the royal family before criminal trials? We seem to have a Trump royal family in bed with Saudi Arabia, and it's not discussed. Sean, yesterday I interviewed Sean Kavanaugh from the Oregonian about exactly that. And the video may not be live on YouTube. Maybe, I don't know exactly what the publishing schedule is for that clip, but we covered that on the show yesterday. I heard about it. We talked about it with one of the reporters who has been following it very closely. Amin Kandil says, Dave, I respect and enjoy watching you. However, your point of view on Congresswoman Omar's views on Israeli criticism being anti-Semitic was a bit off. Still enjoy your show. Yeah, I never said that her comments were anti-Semitic or Semitic. So you may have misunderstood my position, but I certainly never said that. Stephen Robbins says, is it true that you literally asked Sam Cedar how to build his set before you copied it? Yes, I did. I mean, the difference is I've set it up. I've combined our old set, which has this screen behind me, with similar paneling. I mean, basically what I copied was I asked him, how did he build the panels? And he told me. And I'm curious, I've said that Sam helped me with what I needed to buy. But did he, like, if someone called in and asked him about that, I would be interested in seeing that. That sounds pretty funny. Let me know if that's the case. Let's see here. JHWH Gadol says it'll take years, if not decades, for the U.S. to gain respect again. Even if Trump is gone in 2020, the world won't forget that it was a large portion of the American people who brought him into office. I agree. And I recently answered this on audience questions. It might have been last Friday, or maybe it was the Friday before that. The question was, how long will it take for the U.S. to be respected around the world again after Trump? And I said, it's going to take a while. And I completely agree with you. Sean Geis, which political philosophers influenced you? You know, it's hard to say who influenced me, but I've read everything from, less political to more political, Kant, Hume. I mean, I can't even name, I've read so much political philosophy. I have a hard time saying who influenced me. I feel like in a sense, everybody influenced me, but I think what you're getting at more is whose views are mine maybe more modeled after, like influenced in terms of assimilating their views into mine. And I'm not even really sure. I sort of have a potpourri, I guess I would say. Eileen Burke has signed up for a YouTube channel membership. That's the second new member of the evening. 2 types of memberships count. The first is YouTube channel memberships, which you can sign up for by pressing the join button right down there. I may actually, let me see if I even have that now. Yeah, so let's see here. So most YouTube channels don't have this join button. And of course, you probably wouldn't see analytics and edit video either because I'm logged in. So I guess this is not even really a good representation. But in any case, we're part of a beta program with YouTube where this join button appears. And okay, and I guess because I'm logged in as our own channel, I can't do that. But if you press the join button, you will be taken to a page where you can become a YouTube channel member. That counts towards our target of 10 new members today. Also, I prefer this because we keep much more of the money. You can go to www.joinpacman.com and sign up for a YouTube or for a website membership. Our newest member is Clinton Waltman, who just signed up. That is number 3, okay? So if we get 10 new members this evening, I'll open up the phone lines at 617-830-4750. We are at 3 out of 10. Actually, no, we're at 4 out of 10 because Jeremy Sutton has now signed up as well. Jeremy, thank you for signing up. We are at 4 out of 10. I don't have to take phone calls, but if people want me to take phone calls, I gladly will. And coupon codes This Is 2020 and Save 35 are available. The phone number, if and when we open it, will be 617-830-4750. A lot of questions and comments on people's minds. Augustine says, David, I've recently uncovered your videos on Expert Village and eHow. Please explain yourself. Yeah, this is funny. So there are videos on YouTube of me doing everything from training dogs, which I actually don't really know anything about. I know nothing about. I have no credentials for training dogs under a pseudonym, to teaching drums, which I actually did teach drums for a while. So that I have a little bit more authority in, I guess you would say. And the way I end, it's actually former producer Lewis that's to blame. I'll tell the story. Years ago, producer Lewis, when we were both just working part-time for the show, when the show was not what it is today, we both had other things that we did. I did video production and marketing work, and Lewis at one point was contracted by a documentary production company that had a contract with eHow and Expert Village to produce instructional videos. So Lewis came to me and he said, hey, I'm working as a camera person for this production house. We have a deal with eHow and Expert Village. Do you want to teach some video? Do you want to teach some stuff? So we started with, I was like 21 years old. We started with me teaching drums, which I actually know something about. And then we said, hey, we should just like look up on the internet some information about stuff and then you can teach it. And we did some where I'm teaching dog training, which is insane. I literally just looked up on the internet how to train a dog. And then we did videos. Never should have been hired to do it. Never should have been published. Now we can all laugh about it because everybody's been paid and who cares if the videos get removed from YouTube. But yes, there are videos of me teaching all sorts of different things. And please don't look them up. Please don't look them up because it's embarrassing. Sasquatch Hunter says, second choice runoff voting, only way forward. I am a big advocate of runoff voting. There are some problems with it. Whoa, sorry about that. Completely flipped my mic in the other direction. That's never happened before. There are some problems with it, most of which we've addressed, but we have an expert on this issue coming up on the program, maybe as soon as next week, if not the week after, and we're going to deal with that further. Shauna has become a YouTube channel member. She is new member number 5 of the evening. Julie Peterson has become a YouTube channel member. She is new member number 6 of the evening, and when we get to 10, I will open up the phone lines. Real Life Jolie says, oh, if that's actually the case, well, my viewpoint may be a little bit off, given that I personally see the optometrist every 6 months. Ha ha. Yeah, my insurance doesn't cover twice a year visits to the optometrist. It's every 2 years. And you must have good insurance. And if that's the case, congratulations. I gotta love it. Okay, a few other new members that I want to say hello to on our path to 10 new members to open up the phone lines. Peter Wicks is a new David Pakman Show member on our website. That is new member number 7. And Dina Lind, or Lindy, probably Lind, is new member number 8 of the evening. Okay, so we have a phone line. That phone line is 617-830-4750. I make an offer to you, which is if you would like me to take some phone calls and hear from folks. As I mentioned, this is going to be the last live stream for a little bit because I've got to go down to Washington, D.C. For some meetings, and this is probably the last live stream of the week. People want to chime in on the news, ask questions, make comments on the phones. I'm glad to do it, but we're looking for 10 new members. Membership is not expensive. It's the number one funding source for what we do. We give the show away. In fact, we produce the show at our cost for 200 community radio and television stations. And part of the reason why we're able to do that is because of membership support. So the normal rates, I think, are very reasonable. $6 a month and $60 for the year, but we have 2 coupons codes available. This is 2020 will save you 40% off of any membership. Save 35 will save you $35 specifically off of the $60 per year membership. I see people in the chat saying, David, Save 35 is not working. It's working fine. People are using it, but it will only work on the $60 per year membership, and we're getting close. 2 more new members, and I'll open up the phone lines. Shoshone the Elegant White Tiger King is asking for my thoughts on the Yang Gang mirroring 2016 Trump support. I don't even know what that's about, to be honest. I saw a couple of posts on our subreddit from people saying, hey, it looks like alt-right Trump supporters are shifting to Andrew Yang. Is he like a secret libertarian in some way, or what's going on? I'm not sure about that. I like Andrew Yang a lot, but I can understand how some of his ideas would appeal to both left and right-wing libertarians, although he's really more of a left-wing libertarian. But I've not really seen too much evidence suggesting that this alt-right Trump shift to Yang is happening. I'm not denying that it's happening. I'm just saying I've not seen that evidence, but I'm going to research it further. Mecca 101 says Eric Prince is going back to testify in front of Congress regarding his lies about meetings exposed on an Al Jazeera interview. Stunning. Eric Prince absolutely crushed in an Al Jazeera interview where he ended up, I'm trying to summarize it. He said he was asked about a meeting that took place at Trump Tower, which he didn't disclose when he testified before Congress. And he ended up having really no explanation other than I lied. But that's not what the explanation he gave. The explanation he ultimately gave was that the transcript of the testimony might be wrong, which is, I mean, just laughably ridiculous. And I've not heard that. This is the first I'm hearing from Mecca 101 that he is being pulled back in to testify before Congress. I'm glad that he is. He should be. And I'm looking forward to that. Okay, since I have just a bit of a lull in the super chats, let me now play for you. I think you're going to like this. Many of you know that people from the Westboro Baptist Church, known for their God hates fags slogan, which is horrible. This is not terminology I use, but this is what they are known for. They have sort of been out of the public picture for a while, and I think that that's a good thing, and I haven't interviewed anyone from the Westboro Baptist Church for a long time. But David Pakman Show producer Noah Ferguson told me that they were going to be protesting at the Virginia State Capitol because of Danica Rome, the first transgender individual elected to the any U.S. State House, state legislature. They were going to be protesting at Noah's alma mater, Virginia Commonwealth University. And so he went down there, and there's this hilarious video. We played this on the show today, but it's not publishing for a while, so I'll show it to you here. I think you'll like this. This is Noah trying to talk to Shirley Phelps Roper. She has this boombox going. You see it down here by this police officer's foot. She's surrounded by police and ignoring all media requests until Noah says he's from the David Pakman Show. She immediately turns down the boombox and talks to him. So let's take a listen to this. It might take me a moment to set the audio correctly. And just as a reminder, I'm planning to open the phone lines if we get 2 more new members on our website, waiting on 2 more new members. And if we get them, I will open up the phone lines. Check this out. This was the exchange between our producer and a very tightly protected, as you can see, police all over Shirley Phelps Roper from the Westboro Baptist Church.
You want to talk to the David Pakman Show? We know each other. It's cool. Yeah, many times. We haven't had you on in a while. Would you be willing to come back on? What are you out here protesting today?
Well, several things, but mostly this nation is given over wholly to the sodomites. Wholly. And it's on full display out here. Just look around.
That's really interesting. Do you
I love that. That's really interesting. I mean, it's so obviously insincere, but it's just an attempt to placate Shirley, and then Noah continues with his questions.
you still think David Pakman is going to hell?
And everyone, except they repent, everyone will go to hell.
Is everyone in David Pakman's audience going to hell?
You have taken this subgroup of sodomites called transgender and elevated it again with lightning speed to a position of respect in this country. What God has called an abomination.
And you said you would be willing to come back on our show? What do you think you guys would want to talk about if you came back on?
Whatever. He always has something to talk about. The only thing I'll be talking about is the Word of God.
Right. So there's a moment here where I actually am unsure. Noah asks if everyone in the audience is going to hell, and she brings up transgender people. And I can't tell whether she is saying everyone in our audience is trans or that our audience has elevated trans people in some way. I want to just go back and listen to that piece one more time.
Again, with lightning speed to a position of respect.
Oh, wait, let me back it up.
Transgender. And
It's going to hell?
you have taken this subgroup of sodomites called transgender and elevated it again with lightning speed.
Yeah, upon second listen, it actually doesn't sound like she's saying the entire audience is transgender. It sounds like she's saying the entire audience considers trans people to be people, and in her mind, that has elevated them to some kind of status that she thinks they don't deserve or something like that. Very, very weird. But in any case, there is Shirley Phelps Roper, and I don't think there's any interest in actually having her back on the show. But in any case, nice job by Noah Ferguson there, getting a comment from her. I love it. Okay, let's see. A few more super chats here. Harvey says, with 2 R's, thoughts on exiling criminals working against U.S. Exiling criminals working against the U.S. I don't know what that means. I'm having trouble parsing that grammatically. Exiling criminals who are working against the U.S., exiling them to where? I just don't think I actually understand. Real Life Jolie says, oh, that's a funny story. I'm actually on Medicare. Okay, maybe Medicare covers optometry appointments every 6 months. Miko Pispala says, Joe Rogan called black people apes. You still go his PC? You still go his PC. Oh, podcast. Yeah, when I saw that clip of Joe Rogan talking about apes and black people, I thought that he was ridiculing racists. That's my recollection, although I haven't seen that for a very long time. Maybe my recollection is wrong. Lance Smith says, what are your thoughts on the Sam Cedar Charlie Kirk debate at Politicon 2018 if you happen to catch it? I saw 5 minutes of it. I believe that when it happened, I was flying home, and then I just never have time to watch anything. So I only saw 5 minutes, and I saw the 5 minutes I saw, it seemed like Sam was just making very sober arguments against the nonsense Charlie Kirk was saying. And it didn't really seem like Charlie Kirk had many strong arguments. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm biased, but I wasn't hugely influenced in Charlie Kirk's direction from what I saw. But that's based on 5 minutes. It might have been a half hour or an hour or even an hour and a half long. So I'm not totally sure. But maybe I'll go back and watch it if I have some time. Let me say thank you to Gwendolyn Anderson. Gwendolyn Anderson has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership, and she is the 9th new member of the evening. If we get to 10 new members, I will open up the phone lines. Now, I will tell you, I don't have unlimited time to stream this evening because it's a very, very busy week. And so if people want me to open up the phone lines, I would suggest that we just get one more person to sign up for membership at www.joinpakman.com. It's not expensive. You can use the coupon code This Is 2020 to save 40%. You can use the coupon code SAVE35 to discount specifically the $60 membership to just $25, which I have to tell you is a damn good deal. That's like $2.08 a month for hours and hours and hours of programming that we produce. But if people don't want the phone lines open, I don't have to open them up. But if we do get one more member, I'll open them up and take some phone calls. And I would love to hear from some of the folks who are watching today. Brian Walters with the high super chat of the evening, $30. I don't know if you've already said who your top 3 running for president is. Do you mind saying who they are? Thank you, David. Yeah, they are in no particular order: Andrew Yang, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. Or to say it a different way, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Andrew Yang. Or to say it a different way, Elizabeth Warren, Andrew Yang, Bernie Sanders. The point is, in no particular order. I'm just naming them. Maybe in order of presidential announcements or something like that. Those are my top 3 right now. I see Andrew Yang has just sort of qualified officially for the first debate, at least, which will be super interesting. Bernie Sanders is leading among declared candidates. Joe Biden still leading Bernie in most polls. And then Elizabeth Warren stuck right around 9% in the latest Iowa poll that I saw. And we will see whether she's able to make more headway there. It's very early, still a long time. But those are my top 3: Yang, Warren, and Bernie Sanders. Doug Conder says, hey, Mr. P, please define trolling. I don't know how I would. This is sort of like when Jesse Lee Peterson asked me to describe a man. Let me see if I can find, let's see how Wikipedia defines it, just to start. In internet slang, a troll is a person who starts quarrels or upsets people on the internet to distract and sow discord by posting inflammatory and digressive, extraneous, or off-topic messages in an online community, such as a news group, forum, chat room, or blog. Let me zoom this out a little. Now it's getting kind of small. With the intent of provoking readers into displaying emotional responses and normalizing tangential discussion. Basically, trolling is posting on the internet in bad faith. Isn't that a way that would be somewhat reasonable to sum up? If you are posting, it's not the subject matter that determines whether someone is trolling. It's not even necessarily the vocabulary that determines whether someone is trolling. I think it's just bad faith. You're not really looking to have a discussion. You are looking to inflame. You are looking to distract. You're looking to sow discord. I think that's how I would define it. And if you're upset that I'm looking on Wikipedia rather than defining it myself, I kind of do political analysis, not dictionary definitions, as I told Jesse Lee Peterson. So that I think is a perfectly reasonable assessment. Jeremy Sutton sends a 1999 pound super chat. What about the super right-wing radio TV talk show host that said all real men's were conservative? He asked you about transgender. What was his name? Was he impaired? That's actually who I was just talking about. That was Jesse Lee Peterson. And let's see if I can pull up a little bit of the most recent interview I did with him. I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. There is discussion. There is a rumbling of doing another in-person event with Jesse Lee Peterson in front of an actual audience. Last time I did it at his Christian Men's Counseling Center in Los Angeles, California. And it was absolutely bonkers. Let me see if I can find the video and just pull it up a little bit for you. Here it is. You'll notice, let me see if I can get this all properly set up. You'll notice that at the very beginning, we're just kind of sitting there and just talking casually. Oh, wait, this isn't the very beginning. We're just sitting there. Oh, this is me introducing it. Let's see if I can get to the right spot. Yeah, before the title comes up, this is so funny. Check this out. Yeah. So what was going on there was that we were like 20 minutes late or something, or 10 minutes late starting, because he was having some kind of tech fiasco in the back room. He was starting to get agitated and complain about how nothing was working correctly and blah, blah, blah. And I guess the idea was that we would start with this entire title card thing. and then it would cut to us, but somehow we ended up on the stream, and fortunately nothing weird was going on.
Amazing. Welcome to the Father State YouTube Live. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Apologize for the late start, but we are black, and black people are late.
Right. So that was basically, that's the gist of everything that went on. And obviously I don't take it seriously, but we are planning a live Jesse Lee Peterson thing. I don't even know if he knows about it yet, but I'm planning it with my team and the venue. We have a venue in mind. We have a timeline in mind, but it would be inappropriate for me to comment on it, particularly before anyone has even talked to Jesse Lee Peterson about it. Okay, I've got a few other things to discuss. I will remind you, we are potentially opening the phone lines tonight at 617-830-4750. We're waiting for our 10th new member. We're stuck at 9. The target was 10 new members at www.joinpacman.com, and we are stuck at 9. The last new member was Gwendolyn Anderson, and we don't want Gwendolyn Anderson's membership to be moot and to be stuck at 9. So we're ready to open the phone lines. I have the phone queue system ready to go. We just need one new member at www.joinpacman.com. 2 coupon codes available. This is 2020 or Save 35. You can read about those in the video description. Luca Selland says, hypothetical, Bernie wins the primary. Who will he choose as running mate? Who would you choose to be his running mate? I don't know, and I don't know. I can tell you that I've had a handful of people tweet to me, David, will you endorse Bernie plus Tulsi? And the answer is no. Tulsi's not for me, okay? With peace and love to everybody in the audience and everybody who likes Tulsi, etc. Tulsi's not for me. So if Bernie were to win the primary, I would be interested in seeing a Bernie Andrew Yang, Bernie Elizabeth Warren. I mean, there's electability issues with all of these pairings. I would be interested in seeing Bernie. Who else would I be interested? You know, I really take these things one step at a time. And before the 2018 midterms, people would call in or send super chats saying, who are you supporting or who do you think is likely to win the 2020 Democratic primary? And I would say, we've got a midterm election to try to win here. I don't think we should even be thinking about that until we get past it. And in the same way, we don't even know. We might be about to get 2 more candidates in Beto O'Rourke and Joe Biden. So I am just not ready at all to start talking about vice presidential candidates yet. Investigate 311 sends a $10 super chat. I don't know if that's a thing, if that's some kind of meme, Investigate 311, which was yesterday, right? March 11th. Senate is voting to get the U.S. out of Yemen tomorrow, including ending the naval blockade and sharing military intelligence with Saudi Arabia. Please cover this. Coverage of Yemen has been horrible from everyone. Okay, let me make a note of that so I can check it out tomorrow for the show. Always appreciate suggestions from the audience, and I will check that out. Yeah, I just met very interesting guy the other day, a Yemeni Jew. And you might say there's like no Jews actually left. I think there's actually like a couple dozen Jews left in Yemen, and I think they might be living at U.S. under protection somewhere because it's so dangerous for them. His family left Yemen some time ago, and he had some very, very interesting stories that maybe someday he would be able to share on the program. Ariel Fernandez, who you might see, has a logo here called the David Pakman Show flag because he is a YouTube channel member. That is very cool. Do you believe the United States of America will ever become a dominant party system with the Democratic Party being that political party? No, I think it's more likely, Ariel, that let me see if I can say this the right way. If at some point political wins are such, or the electoral system changes such that what today is the Democratic Party becomes dominant in American politics, I think that downfall of the Republican Party will coincide with the Democratic Party splitting, and you will still end up with the minimum a duopoly. I think that that's how the system is designed. That is how a lot of structures within our system are set up. So I believe that if the Democratic Party gets too powerful relative to the Republican Party, where Democrats are winning all the time and Republicans are not, I think you will see the Democratic Party split and sort of become the new duopoly, or maybe it'll even be a three-way with the Republican Party. Okay, new member, Pamela Weller. Pamela Weller took a while today, but we did it. We got to 10 new members. So I will open up the phone lines at 617-830-4750. If you want to talk to me, call in at 617-830-4750. I will just wait a moment or two for people to get connected, and then I will take some phone calls. Please don't troll me, but if you have disagreements, by all means call. That is more than welcome. Jeremy Sutton says, sounds like a gay conversion therapy session with Jesse Lee Peterson. Seriously, though, the guy seems high or very, very Blovan, the bottom end of the spectrum. How could he even be racist? He blamed blacks. Yeah, he's a very, very strange guy. Rory Drew. Hi, David. Hypothetically, how differently do you think Trump would operate were the U.S. to have a system identical to the U.K.'s parliamentary system? You know, I would hope that in having to actually get up in front of the equivalent of parliament, if we had it here, I would hope that his clear lack of capacity, lack of cognitive ability to be president of the United States would have been so undeniably exposed that he would no longer be president by now. That's my hope, and that's probably unrealistic given the devotion of the Republican Party to the cult of personality that is Donald Trump. Okay. I think I am ready to take some phone calls here. Let's see. I've got to make sure everything is all properly set up. I don't want to accidentally flash anyone's phone numbers up on the screen, which I accidentally did a little while back. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's start with our caller. One more time. The number is 617-830-4750. Let's start with our caller from the 720 area code. Caller from 720, introduce yourself. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, is this me?
That is you, yeah.
Hey, David. My name's Jordan. I'm calling from Kansas.
Hey, Jordan. What's going on?
So I was wondering if you heard about, I think it's Bill Weld planning to primary Donald Trump.
Yes, I did.
I was wondering if you think that had any significance or if that's like nothing
You know, I would
important.
love to believe that it does. Bill Weld's an interesting guy. He ran, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but I think he ran as Gary Johnson's Libertarian vice president in 2016, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy. You know, among Republicans, he's much more reasonable than, I mean, you know, if you give me Bill Weld or Ted Cruz, obviously I choose Bill Weld. He was governor here in Massachusetts years ago. I think he has no shot, to be quite honest. I find it interesting, and any damage he can do to Trump, I'm all for. I just find it hard to imagine he's going to get much traction. I think Kasich has a much better shot at getting some traction.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
And can I ask one more?
Yeah, sure.
I was wondering what you think would be the most important issue that a Democratic winner would be in 2020.
Well, it's hard to pick one, but the major systemic issues that I want to see dealt with in our political system are campaign finance and money in politics, number one. Number two, climate change is a meta issue that has to be dealt with. Number three, the net neutrality / media consolidation, because we learn about most issues through media and the internet. So that's another meta issue that simply has to be dealt with. And number four, changing the voting system we have to better allow third parties to participate. Those are like my four meta issues that I want whoever is the nominee to be tackling.
Okay, cool. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Appreciate the call. Thank you very much. We're taking calls at 617-830-4750. Let's go to our caller from the 858 area code. Who's calling from 858?
Yo, this is Tomas from San Diego.
Hey, Tomas, what's going on?
Hey, I was wondering what your thoughts are on Republican strategies, like calling the Democratic Party the Democrat Party. Like, I live with right-wingers, so I just hear it all the time. So it's kind of weird.
So the one I heard, so you're saying first of all, never saying the Democratic Party, always saying the Democrat Party. The other one I've heard
Yeah.
is demon rats, right? That's another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one's just stupid. Listen, here's the thing. I mean, okay, so for years now, they never say the Democratic Party because if they say the Democratic Party, even if they're saying it as in like capital D Democratic, they don't want to concede that it sounds like they're saying small d Democratic, like the party of democracy. So they say the Democrat Party. To some degree, it's probably effective. I find it really childish and stupid, but it probably has some effect that is beneficial to Republicans, sadly.
Yeah, whenever I hear somebody say that, I just label them a hack and then move on.
I like so did you say you live with right wingers?
I live in a pretty conservative area.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. It's not like you have right wing roommates or
California,
something
but
like
it's
that.
like, yeah. What?
You don't have right wing roommates, you're saying?
Oh, no, no.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I would have been worried about you if you did. That would have been tough.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Okay, see ya.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 617-830-4750. Let's go to the 502 area code. Who's calling from 502 today?
My name is Matt.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
A big fan of the show. My question is in regards to Andrew Yang, in regards to his position on UBI.
Yep.
I've done a lot of research on his website, and the one thing I'm concerned about, and it's something you mentioned before in a previous video, is how UBI would be used. I noticed that he's mentioned before that you could opt in out of welfare in replace of UBI, but how would you think that would apply to something like Social Security?
I think it's problematic, and we're trying to get Andrew back on. You know, we've been covering Andrew's campaign for a long time now. We were interviewing him long before he was on Joe Rogan or WBUR or any of that. He's been on all sorts of stuff, The Breakfast Club. And we're trying to get him back on the program because I have some disagreements with him. And as I've said, he's one of my top 3 candidates, but I don't think that that's a good idea. I'm concerned about it. I think that his view on tuition-free college is just wrong. I want to talk to him about that. I think tuition-free college is both a good idea and economically stimulative. So yeah, I mean, I think that UBI can't be, number one, used to subsidize employers who want to continue paying employees like crap. I don't want to see that. That can't be the point of UBI.
Right.
And I also don't want to see the opt-in, opt-out stuff. If you want to say we're getting rid of food stamps and, if you want to kind of come up with a whole list of programs and you say, here's the total of what someone might get from all of these programs. We're going to get rid of them all, as well as all of the bureaucracy that comes with them. We're going to save a ton of money, and we will just cut a universal basic income check to people. I'm open to hearing that. But to start talking about opt-in, opt-out, replacing Social Security or anything like that, that's the wrong approach in my mind.
Yeah, and I would agree with that because I like you, I think that it is something that's probably unavoidable that we'll have to go down that path. But I think to kind of replace our existing system, I think that's kind of the intellectual, dishonest way I think that a lot of conservatives, like libertarians, seem to be on board with because they don't like these other programs. They just want to just replace it with something simple. But I just think that would be a fundamentally bad idea.
I think it would be. And the thing about UBI is that there are so many proposals for how it would be implemented, what the amounts of money would be, et cetera, that UBI doesn't mean just one thing in the same way that,
Right.
I don't know, welfare is many things. Welfare isn't one thing. UBI is not necessarily just one thing, but I completely agree with your take on it.
Okay. Yeah, and I was wondering if that was something you had a concern, and I certainly hope that if you have him back on the show, that would be a question you would ask him.
Oh, I will. I absolutely will. Thanks for the call. I
All right.
appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, see you later. Let's see, 617-830-4750. Let's go to our caller from the 972 area code. Who's there from 972 today?
Hi, this is Tanner in Dallas, and I have been looking to discuss a part of our elections that doesn't, on how to improve them, that doesn't get a lot of talk, and that is how long they're getting. And I was wondering what you think could be done to help shorten the election cycles, make them more compressed, and limiting the amount of time in political office candidates could campaign for.
Yeah, that's got to be a package of election reform. right? So we need an election reform package that includes campaign finance reform, and we just go to public funding for elections. We get the super PAC money out. We get individual donations in the way that they have. We got to get all of that stuff out. And in addition to that, we've got to limit the time. I think that 6 months is very reasonable. I think 6 months is extraordinarily
I'm
reasonable. Maybe 8 months or something like that.
6 to 8 months is what I was thinking as well, but it's not just presidential candidates, but it's going into all levels. For example, here in Dallas, we're going to be electing a new mayor later this year. In that election's not till November, and we've had some candidates campaign as long as September, October of last year. It's just getting infuriating.
There's this idea in behavioral economics and decision-making theory, which is that information has a diminishing utility, okay? And the example that's often used, Tanner, is imagine that you're buying a car, right? You have no information about cars at all. So what do? Well, first you inform yourself about the types of cars that there are. There's trucks, there's SUVs, there's compact cars, whatever. You now are going to be much better able to make a really important decision about the type of car you're looking for. You then need to look into what do cars cost, what brands are there, safety ratings, etc. And you're really going to be able to make a better decision on the basis of that information. At a certain point, if you've been researching for 10 months and you're getting down to the minutia of what brand spark plugs come factory for different vehicles or whatever, the additional information and the time it takes you to acquire that information has a smaller and smaller additional value to you until a point at which it actually has a negative value potentially because you're just missing out on actually getting a car and getting use out of the car. I think it's a perfect analogy to this election stuff. We don't actually need 19 months to figure out who we're going to vote for, or 11 months until the primary or whatever. We can get all the information we need in a far shorter amount of time, period.
Absolutely. And I would maybe put that to buying a house or an apartment as well.
Absolutely.
All right,
It's the classic economic example is candy bars. Like if you get one candy bar, it's got quite a bit of value. And if you get a second candy bar, you could eat 2 candy bars, but that second one, it's no longer as unique. At a certain point, if you keep eating candy bars, they start having a negative value. You're going to get yourself sick. And I think it's a good analogy.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate the call. Yeah, thanks for calling in. Let me get to a couple of super chats before I get back to the phones. Let's see here. Joshua Carr says, what potential Democrat winning policies do you think are not getting enough traction in the party? Well, net neutrality is so important, and the American public is basically with Democrats on it, but it is unclear whether it's an effective issue in terms of voting, because it's very sort of seasonal in terms of when there's about to be something, you start getting the FCC comments and big websites like Reddit and others start activating around it. And politicians who say they will defend internet freedom get a lot of traction. But then when it's not acutely in the works, when it's just like, hey, we've got to restore net neutrality, it's so important, and it really should be a winning issue for Democrats. I just don't know if it actually would get them electoral traction. I'd have to think about which one would be effective. I mean, I think we've learned that gun-related stuff is not effective, Joshua, but I'll think about that a little more. Ariel Fernandez says, I was thinking the Democratic Party will split into 2 different political parties in that scenario, one being socially liberal and economically left-wing, and the other also being socially liberal but economically centrist. You know, the current Democratic Party is sort of socially liberal and economically centrist, and so you might have Democrats and social Democrats. I don't know, but yeah, I think you and I are basically on the same page, Ariel. Let's see who else wants to chime in on the phones. How about the 845 area code? Caller from 845. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How about the 845 area code?
Okay, so I'm hearing myself on like a 5-second delay.
Hi, that's me.
Hi.
That's me.
Who's this?
My name is Aileen.
Hey, Aileen, what's going on? And if you're listening to the stream in the background, please turn it down.
Now.
Yeah, because that's crazy.
I'm turning it off now. I know. Hi. So my question is, what are your thoughts regarding student loan forgiveness? especially after today's crazy news.
Yeah, so today a bunch of celebrities and others have been pulled into I don't even know how to describe it, Aileen. It's basically they were caught bribing test taking companies to get their kids better scores so that they would get into good schools. Is that roughly what it is?
It's so unbelievably tragic. And so, what do you think about student loan forgiveness for the kids who really had to take out loans, who really did get into college, and now they're up to their eyeballs in debt?
Yep. So I think a couple things. Number one, the loan forgiveness programs that we have to be expanded.
Yes.
That's just absolutely clear. Bigger picture, so obviously, if someone is determined to have been the target of predatory student lending, absolutely loan forgiveness. Current programs need to be expanded. Where I think it starts to get complex is that a lot of the problem isn't so much that people are going into debt or to go to college or that the loans themselves are predatory, but that there is a feedback loop of loans being easier and easier to get and college getting more and more expensive in a way that's completely out of line with wages. So
That is
I
true.
just don't know, Aileen, if forgiving the loans, I'm open to forgiving the loans depending on who it is that's paying for it, so to speak. But there's like a much bigger issue with the cost of college that goes beyond the debt piece.
Yeah, it's a big conversation. I know this is like a small question for it's a big thing that we can't educate our children.
Yeah, but something at some
without
point
them
is
going
like
into
the
debt.
system is not sustainable. College costs can't keep increasing at the rate that they are, with people taking out bigger and bigger loans for careers that simply are not going to empower them to ever pay those loans off.
Exactly. Trade
Something's got to
schools.
crash, you know?
Hello, trade schools.
Well, yeah, I mean, trade school, that's a whole other can of worms. And I think that that's interesting and it's the right choice for a lot of people. But at the same time, we don't want to be disincentivizing careers that may not earn a lot of money, but are still valuable careers in other ways. And that's the concern with just saying trade school, you know?
Yeah, it's so complicated.
It
I
is.
mean, we want a liberal arts education is very important.
That's right. And,
It really is.
conservatives like to
You need
laugh
to
it
be
off.
able to read. You need to be able to write. You need to be able to read literature
And think.
and think. You need
Yeah.
to learn how to think. And so it's expensive to be able to do that. It shouldn't be.
Well, conservatives have made it very popular to sort of pretend that liberal arts educations are just liberal indoctrination, and the fact that the word liberal is in there has been useful to
hate
them.
that.
But it's just so important. Yeah, Aileen, thank you for the call.
All right, bye.
Take care. Neil Morton has a super chat where he says joined a couple of days ago and sent this extra just to get my name mentioned. Just kidding. Wanted to say I like your rhetorical style. Keep it up. Thanks, Neil. Your name would have been mentioned eventually in the new member announcements. Little peek behind the curtain. We are like 3 years behind on new member announcements. This is a really good problem to have if you're a show that depends on member support. But right now we are, I think it's like 2.5 years backed up on announcing new members on the show. So glad to mention you today, Neil. Appreciate your support. Let's go to our caller from the 970 area code. Who's calling from 970 today?
Hi, David. This is Alexa from Colorado.
Hey, Alexis, what's going on?
Not a lot. I had a question. I was kind of curious on your opinion on the importance of transgender rights and, acknowledgement in the Democratic Party. I watched Bernie Sanders recently, and he very clearly said gay and straight man and woman almost as discrediting, or I don't know. What's your opinion on the importance of stuff such as that in the Democratic Party?
Well, he didn't mention bisexual either, I guess, according to what you're saying, right?
That's true.
I mean, I guess there's a couple of interpretations. One is we can make a really micro analysis of the language and say, because he didn't mention bisexual or transgender, he doesn't care or doesn't think that bi and trans people are worthy of support or acknowledgement in some way. The other would be when he says gay and lesbian, he's using it as shorthand for LGBT, which does include all of those things. And maybe we should pay more attention to what he was advocating rather than making a sort of linguistic analysis. I don't know. I didn't see it, to be honest.
Of course, and I agree with that. And he said gay and straight, not gay and lesbian. But
I'm sorry, gay and straight.
But I do think it's a bit of a talking point at the moment, especially with how much the Republican Party is attacking transgender people, taking away privileges. I feel like that would be something he would have brought up had he supported that.
Yeah, but so do we have reason to think Bernie Sanders does not support transgender rights?
I cannot find anything about it.
Yeah, no, I can't. I have no reason to think that either. And given his record of decades and being on the forefront of gay and lesbian rights decades ago, I would default to the position that this is something Bernie finds important and supports, barring evidence to the contrary. That's what I would take as a position.
Okay, yeah, and I really wanted to say that way too. And then after hearing this stuff, though, I'm kind of on the edge about it. I really want to think he is, but I'm just wondering how important it is for you, for a Democratic candidate, to be for those rights.
Oh, I mean, it's listen. It's hard for me to imagine. I would not support any candidate. I'm sort of like having a hard time even putting it into words. At this point, you know, if a Democratic candidate says, I don't think that we need to include LGBT status in non-discrimination ordinances or something like that, I mean, it's just a non-starter. It's almost inconceivable to me. Maybe there are some candidates that are not getting a lot of attention, whose records I've not looked at closely enough, who are sort of indifferent to that. But it's hard for me to imagine that it's a given that it's of utmost importance, including, you know, positions on healthcare and so many other things that should just be a given at this point.
Of course. That sounds a silly question. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it. Razamanaz has sent a super chat saying, I tried to use the coupon code SAVE35, but it was invalid. Oh boy, I addressed this. Razamanaz, here's the thing. The coupon code SAVE35 only works on the $60 a year membership, okay? If you apply that code to any other membership, it will not work. So when you go to www.joinpacman.com, you have to switch from monthly to yearly, and then make sure $60 a year is selected and hit sign up. Then it will work. And people are using it. People have been using it all night. It will only work on that membership in particular. Trust me, though, it works. Elias Taraches sends a link to some kind of, it's a link to the story about the actresses and CEOs arrested in the nationwide college scandal. Yeah, we'll be talking about that on the show tomorrow. It's an insane story. And Ariel Fernandez is back saying, thank you for answering my question. Yeah, I don't know why sometimes Ariel has the little David Pakman show flag and sometimes not. I'm not really super sure about that. Okay, let me take another phone call. Why don't we go to the 716 area code? Who's calling from 716 today?
How you doing, Dave? It's Jordan from Canada.
Whoa, okay. Did you say Jordan from Canada?
Yeah, I'm originally from the States, but I'm living in Canada right now.
Okay, good. Maybe just keep a little more space between your mouth and the phone, because you're coming through very overdriven.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay, I had a non-political question.
Okay.
When I was about 18, I had a neighbor that was from Argentina.
Yep.
And they gave me a whole bunch of books, like stuff by Jorge Luis Borges, Julio Cortázar,
right?
A few other writers. I was wondering what your opinion was of that type of literature.
It's absolutely fantastic. Question. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Okay. Borges has some of the, both Borges and Cortázar have some of the best short story literature that I've ever read. Cortázar has a novel called, I think in English it's translated as Hopscotch, which
Rayuela in Spanish or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Which I read part of years ago, and it was like a little bit, I read Spanish, but it was a little tough for me based on my reading level at the time. I should resume it. But this is top-notch literature, and yeah, I would recommend it to anybody in the audience.
Okay, it's a little bit easier in English. Like I was able to finish it in English.
Yeah, for sure. I figured that you had it in English, not in Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, excellent literature. Glad you're reading it. Appreciate the phone call. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut the stream there. I've got to run, got a bunch of stuff to plan, including tomorrow's program and this upcoming trip to Washington, D.C. Apologies to everybody who called in that I didn't get to. I will take calls again. I will stream again. Really appreciate you joining me.